What's up, guys? This is Webby back again for a special podcast for you. This edition, we're going to be going over and discussing if WWE is going to do a bang-up job for us wrestling fans tonight on Monday Night Raw and tomorrow on SmackDown Live during the Shakeup. What needs to happen? Is it going to be spectacular for us wrestling fans? You know, it's always a 50-50 toss-up if WWE does a good job. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. In the past, last year, it wasn't anything real special, but the year before that, they really did a bang-up job for us because they moved AJ Styles from Monday Night Raw and put him on SmackDown, and he has done a fantastic job making it the house that AJ Styles built. Absolutely fantastic. So it's always a 50-50. However you look at it, let's all hope that tonight they give us a show and a shakeup that we will remember in the WWE for years to come. Now, before we get into that, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a subscriber if you are. If you're not, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit that bell for all notifications and follow me on Facebook at 2007Webby. Much appreciated. A lot of hard work goes into this for you, wrestling fans. It's a superstar shakeup. You know, when I think of chaos, when I think of superstars coming from one brand to the next, I think of the general managers coming out and announcing who they want on their show. I think of them trading back and forth. Reasons why they want them on their show. The superstars in the locker rooms. Raw in one locker room, SmackDown in the other locker room. Just begging. I remember when they were begging not to go to the other brand. And when they got picked, it was like, no. Why me? You know? I remember having clips of that being shown during Monday Night Raw. So, it went from that to last year when they just popped up out of nowhere. Didn't even see the general manager. Here's a superstar. Why are they here? Nobody knows. They're just on the show, and they stayed. So I would like a little bit of both this year. You know, have some interaction between Paige and Kurt Angle. Maybe have Shane on the show as well, talking it over amongst all three. Why the superstars should come from SmackDown to Raw or Raw to SmackDown. Have Kurt Angle go over to SmackDown tomorrow night. Should be entertaining. A change for us wrestling fans from last year. And also have superstars maybe show up. Have them sit in the crowd and watch as the show goes on. Wondering why they should come to the show. That kind of stuff. Make it different for us wrestling fans. Not them just pop up right out of nowhere from the back. Nah, do something different, WWE. It'd be more of a reason for us to tune in other than, it's a shakeup. It's another reason just to garner ratings. So, with that being said, who should come over to Monday Night Raw and who should come over to SmackDown Live? Now, the championships have changed hands. Seth Rollins has the Intercontinental Championship and the modern day Felhaja. Jinder Mahal has the United States Championship. Both titles need to switch. They have been on the shows that they are on for quite some time. Switch them. Switch them. Seth Rollins needs to go over to SmackDown Live and make it Tuesday night SmackDown Rollins. That would be cool to see. Vince McMahon likes Jinder Mahal. Have him go to Monday Night Raw and start defending the United States title over there. Makes the most sense. And while you're at it, take the Zane brothers with them. That'd be, I wouldn't like seeing him on Raw, but that would make the most sense. Now, what other kind of changes would need to be made to probably anchor that trade? Give something more intriguing for the Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown. Well, I don't see Samoa Joe going anywhere, quite frankly, for the simple fact that Roman Reigns has a one-way ticket to the Coquilla Clutch and a rivalry with Samoa Joe. So with that being the case, I think Finn Balor would be a perfect fit going over to SmackDown Live. He has no opportunity whatsoever on Monday Night Raw, really, to do anything. He would have a better fit on SmackDown, not only as a wrestling type based show, but I know some people would say, oh, well, we've already seen Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor match after match after match. Let's be honest here. People want him to have a championship. Put him in a match with Seth Rollins over on SmackDown Live, and he would have a much better chance at getting the Intercontinental Championship. AJ Styles isn't going anywhere. He would have a much better chance to become the WWE Champion over on SmackDown. Much better fit for him. Now, bring the club with him. Tag team. Move over to SmackDown Live. You had the whole group over there. Now, who would move from SmackDown over to Monday Night Raw to take the club's place? I know some people would be cringing at the thought, probably, of seeing Rusev Day get into a closer touch, hands, being with Vincent Kenny McMahon, because, he has a much tighter ship on Monday Night Raw. He looks at that much tighter. With that being said, Rusev Day would be probably a more perfect fit over on Raw. I would think, because more eyes is on Monday Night Raw, better ratings is on Raw, the flagship show, and I think Rusev Day would still go over just as well on Raw, even with Vinnie Mac more in control. You're not going to tell the fans what to do. They speak their mind wherever they're at. Rusev Day would be just fine over there. Make sure Aiden English goes with him. Now, with that being said, I really hope that they don't use this as a place to just throw guys around that we never see. Like the Big Show and Kane and those type of guys. Because those guys not officially announced their retirement. They're still around every once in a while. So if they start just throwing them from one show to the other, it really makes absolutely no difference where they're at. Because they only show up once or twice or 3-4 times a year. And it's like, whatever. Kane has his one little comeback, once a year, and then that's it. So I hope they don't use the shakeup for that. The women's division, however, if I would change anything with that, I would put Charlotte and somebody like Becky Lynch over on Monday Night Raw, because there's no question in my mind that those two are going over. And I would put Alexa Bliss and I would put Sasha Banks over on SmackDown. Or I would just keep both blondes, Alexa Bliss, on Raw, and I would put Bayley and Sasha Banks on SmackDown. You don't have to have a blonde female superstar on both shows. You don't. You can keep Alexa and Charlotte on this show, on Raw. Now, some might say, well, that will lower Alexa's status. Look, Charlotte is going to be tangled up with Asuka. That is where I'm looking at. Bayley and Sasha Banks needs to stay on the same show, same brand. I really don't like them being on the same brand as Charlotte, because that pushes them down on the totem pole. Asuka needs to stay on the same brand as Charlotte. I really don't want them to wait it out all the way until the Survivor Series for them to have that rematch. I know that gives the Survivor Series something, to look forward to and anchor. But whatever the case, something like that is probably going to happen. WWE will probably put Alexa Bliss over on SmackDown and have Charlotte come over to Monday Night Raw, and that will be their biggest women's trade. And they probably won't do anything else spectacular about that. Whatever the case, this is the major things I think will happen for the draft. Other than that, The Miz and The Miz Taraj, I think, should go over to SmackDown in some form or fashion, because they need to do that huge thing with Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan doesn't need to go anywhere. So either Finn Balor and the club need to go over to SmackDown, or The Miz and The Miz Taraj needs to go over to SmackDown Live. One of those two needs to go over. But The Miz Taraj needs to stay with The Miz, because without The Miz, Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas are absolutely nothing. They are jobbers. And that is what I think needs to happen during the draft. That's what I'm hoping happens during the draft. And I hope they don't treat this as just like they kind of did last time, where all they did was throw a bunch of guys we don't usually see during it. And that was just about it. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. Subscribe, Facebook, everything I mentioned at the beginning. And until I see you tonight for Monday Night Raw, this is Webby, and I'll catch you on the other side. Talk to you later.